we uncover how migration and conflict reshaped Djibouti's DNA. Genetic shifts, interethnic marriages, and global influences create a unique genetic narrative, blurring boundaries and challenging static notions of identity. Mitochondrial haplogroups, such as L3F and L3X, common in northern Ethiopia and Eritrea, have appeared in greater numbers in younger generations born after the refugee arrivals, evidence that Eritrean and Ethiopian women were part of this population shift. Refugee displacement doesn't just leave a genetic signature, it alters social and reproductive dynamics. In times of war, families are split, traditional marriage patterns are interrupted, and people are forced into new communities. These new unions formed under pressure, necessity, or compassion often cross ethnic or clan boundaries. In Djibouti, this has led to increased interethnic marriage between Afar, Somali, and Ethiopian groups, especially in mixed refugee districts. These unions also challenge older notions of genetic purity or rigid identity. Children born of such marriages often grow up multilingual, culturally fluid, and biologically diverse. Their DNA becomes a map not of a single origin, but of historical disruption and resilience. Geneticists tracking population change in Djibouti over the past 50 years have noted an overall increase in heterozygosity, a measure of genetic mixing which supports the hypothesis that displacement fosters diversity. Beyond refugee crises, Djibouti's strategic role in international peacekeeping and military operations has also contributed to genetic shifts. The presence of French, American, and other foreign military personnel over decades has occasionally resulted in the formation of families with Djiboutian citizens. While these cases are rare, they have introduced trace European and North American ancestry into select urban lineages. These genetic additions, although minor, further complicate the story of Djiboutian identity in a globalized age. Environmental displacement has also played a role. Climate change, recurrent droughts, and diminishing pasture land have forced nomadic groups to settle in urban or peri-urban zones. This shift from mobility to sedentarism has altered reproductive and social patterns, often bringing formerly isolated groups into closer proximity. As rural families intermarry with urban dwellers, their unique genetic traits, honed in isolated or extreme conditions, begin to diffuse more broadly across the population. One striking example involves gene variants linked to high-altitude adaptation. Among refugees and migrants from the Ethiopian highlands, certain hemoglobin-related traits helpful for oxygen retention in thinner air have appeared in urban Djiboutians living near refugee centers. These traits may offer no selective advantage at sea level, but their presence illustrates how human movement transplants traits far from their original evolutionary context. These war-driven genetic shifts are not confined to chromosomes alone. They affect inherited disease risk, immune system variability, and even psychological traits. Post-traumatic stress, dietary change, and sudden exposure to new pathogens create environments where different genes may become more or less advantageous. Over generations, these pressures subtly mold the genome to reflect not only ancestry, but experience. Ultimately, war and displacement are not just chapters in political history, they are evolutionary events. In Djibouti, they have helped diversify the genome, blur boundaries, and challenge static notions of ethnic identity. Each conflict-driven movement added new layers to the nation's genetic narrative, turning adversity into adaptation. By tracing the molecular footprints of refugees, migrants, and survivors, we uncover a hidden story, one that shows how violence reshapes not only borders, but biology. Djibouti's genome, marked by crisis and convergence, offers a testament to human resilience. It is a map drawn not in ink, but in the enduring language of DNA. In the 21st century, Djibouti stands as both a destination and a waypoint in the great human movement across East Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. Though small in size, Its strategic position on the Gulf of Aden makes it a vital hub in modern migration routes. Today, the genetic legacy of Djibouti is not only shaped by ancient population waves or colonial overlays, but increasingly by the people arriving and departing in real time. Modern migration in Djibouti is driven by both push and pull factors. For many migrants from Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, and Yemen, Djibouti is a stepping stone toward the dream of reaching Saudi Arabia or the Gulf states. They come by foot, camel, or boat, moving through a land that has long served as a corridor between continents. Others, displaced by conflict or economic hardship, arrive hoping to resettle permanently. Some succeed, others remain in limbo, but all leave traces of their journey behind. This continuous human circulation is leaving its imprint on the genetic profile of Djibouti's next generation. Urban centers like Djibouti City and the town of Olé Sabié now host populations with diverse backgrounds, and intermarriage among communities that once maintained strict social boundaries is becoming more common. Genetic studies conducted in the last decade show that younger Djiboutians, particularly in coastal and urban areas, exhibit more genomic heterogeneity than previous generations. One indicator of this is a rise in previously uncommon mitochondrial haplogroups, such as L0A and L3H, lineages more commonly found in southern Ethiopia and highland Kenya. These lineages, now appearing in Djiboutian maternal DNA, reflect the steady arrival of women from those regions, often as part of labor migration or displacement. Likewise, paternal markers such as EM293 and T1A1A, which originate in East Africa's Rift Valley populations, are also becoming more prevalent among urban males. Yemenis fleeing civil war in the 2010s also added to this influx, arriving across the narrow Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Many settled temporarily in refugee camps, and some integrated into the local population. Genetic analyses have confirmed a slight increase in Arabian Peninsula-associated haplogroups like J2 and R1A in specific neighborhoods of Djibouti City. Though small in number, these contributions form part of a wider trend, the layering of diverse ancestries through modern movement. The increasing prevalence of autosomal admixture is perhaps the most telling sign of this shift. Genome-wide association studies, GWAS, reveal that Djiboutian genomes now show broader regional affinities than ever before. Individuals often possess segments of DNA associated with multiple African populations, Cushitic, Nilotic, Bantu, as well as minor components linked to South Asia, the Middle East, and even Europe. These blends reflect the cosmopolitan reality of contemporary Djibouti. Cultural changes mirror these genetic developments. Language, once a firm marker of ethnic identity, is becoming more fluid. Somali French and Arabic remain official languages, but many children in migrant neighborhoods speak a mix of Afar, Amharic, and even Tigrinya. Religious practices have diversified as well, with Sunni Islam remaining dominant, but incorporating rituals and interpretations brought by different migrant communities. These changes are not without tensions. Traditionalists sometimes express concern over the dilution of local customs or the erosion of clan-based structures. Yet, from a genetic perspective, this blending represents adaptation, not degradation. As populations mix, they bring with them genetic diversity, which can enhance resilience to disease, widen immune responses, and increase biological flexibility in the face of environmental challenges. One recent finding from biomedical studies in Djibouti is the increased genetic diversity in HLA genes, the human leukocyte antigen system that plays a crucial role in immune defense. This rise in diversity is likely a result of mixed ancestries and cross-border unions, which combine different pathogen resistance profiles. In a globalized age where pandemics and antibiotic resistance are looming threats, such diversity can prove to be a powerful asset. Moreover, urban health data shows that mixed heritage individuals in Djibouti often exhibit broader metabolic ranges and more varied microbiomes than those from more genetically homogeneous backgrounds. These physiological differences, though still under study, suggest that modern migration is not just changing the face of the population. It is also altering how bodies interact with food, pathogens, and stress. The role of the diaspora cannot be overlooked either. Many Djiboutians live abroad, especially in Somalia, France, the Gulf states, and North America. As they return, visit, or send for spouses, they bring back not only foreign ideas and capital, but also genetic material. Children born of transnational marriages further complicate and enrich the local gene pool, introducing alleles and haplogroups that were once uncommon in the Horn of Africa. Technology and globalization are accelerating this process. Genetic testing, ancestry tools, and mobile clinics are helping citizens discover their mixed roots. Social media and migration apps are connecting distant communities and encouraging relationships across national and ethnic lines. These tools are not just rediscovering ancestry, they are actively shaping the next chapter of genetic evolution in Djibouti. In many ways, Djibouti today is a microcosm of the global human journey, a place where ancient genomes meet modern mobility, where the DNA of merchants, nomads, colonists, and refugees all come together. Each individual becomes a living archive of journeys made, borders crossed, and identities reshaped. By examining modern migration and genomic blending, we witness the continuation of a story that began tens of thousands of years ago. Djibouti has always been a land of movement, and now, in an era of planes, ships, and data, that movement has become more rapid and complex. Yet its essence remains the same: the blending of lives, cultures, and genes in pursuit of survival, opportunity, and belonging. The DNA of modern Djibouti is not fixed. It's a river, and as that river flows, it carries with it the promise of a people continually shaped by the world, even as they shape it in return. In a world shaped by borders, languages, and the weight of history, identity often seems fixed, passed down by family, shaped by nation, and reinforced by tradition. But in Djibouti, a land where ancient migrations, trade routes, colonial occupations, and modern upheavals have all left their imprint, identity is less about fixed categories and more about layers. Today, a new tool is helping Djiboutians navigate these layers: genetic science.